Hey everyone, it's happening. Spider-Man collector booster box prices are falling. They recently just went under $800 and are continuing to fall. As of today, today is September 10th. Pre-release is next Friday, the 19th. And just want to take a quick look at what's going on with the Spider-Man collector box prices and where do we go from here. So if you looked anywhere online, you will see a lot of people talking down on the Spider-Man set for all the various reasons I discussed it in my other video. And it's really translating now into the sales data and subsequently the price of the collector box. So let's take a look. It is currently selling at 782.9. If you're looking at the 1 month chart, it's down about 5%. It had hit a high of almost $1,000. And if you look at the sales volume, it is quite low. So we have 10 sold today, 14 yesterday, 24 the day before that, 12 the day before that, 12 on the 6th, 24. So it's selling about 20 or less per day, actually less than 20 per day. We have a couple of days over 20 at 23 and 24. And then we had one big spike on August 29th with 56 boxes sold. But that was the last big spike before it had hit almost $1,000, and that was around the time of the debut stream. And ever since then, it's just been going downhill from here. If we look at the current quantity, there are 616 on the market. That's quite a bit. If you compare this to the other collector boxes and other sets that had recently come out, like Final Fantasy or Edge of Eternity, both Final Fantasy and Edge of Eternities had fewer quantity on TCG Player at around the same time and higher sales volume. And of course, that will correlate to the box price as it's all supply and demand. So what this is showing me is that the supply is high. The rumor that the Spider-Man collector booster box has a print run of about 25% smaller than Final Fantasy. The only thing I want to point out is that we know for sure that Final Fantasy had a very large print run. And so if the Final Fantasy collector box print run was extra large and we are getting a 25% smaller print run for Spider-Man, well, that could just mean Spider-Man has a normal size print run or even still a higher print run than normal, but just 25% less than Final Fantasy. But that doesn't really matter as much as the demand, because the demand is quite low right now, it appears. Certainly lower than Edge of Eternities and much, much lower than Final Fantasy, and is represented here by the number of boxes still available on the market and the low sell-through rate. Now, the one thing to note is that the high price of the Spider-Man box, where it was in the upper 800s and even in the 900s, that is likely making people buy less of the product, and rightfully so. It's very expensive. So given that we have a low volume of sales currently, and this could change, and a high quantity on the market, I expect this box to continue going down. And it's still in pre-sale. The set hasn't even released yet. We are still in pre-sale. So don't forget, on TCG Player, only these certified hobby shops can list the product right now. Once the set is released in 2 Fridays from now, on the 26th, anybody can list this stuff. And if the price stays in the high 700s, which I don't think it will, I think this is going in the low 700s. Maybe, I think there's a possibility this is going to go below 700. And I think there is a likely possibility that once the set is released at the end of the month, it will go below 700. We're going to be seeing this likely in the $600 range for a bit. We will see how that goes. But certainly for the time being, with the market conditions as it is right now for this set, for this box, it's looking like we are going lower. How low will we go? We don't know. As the price decreases, we should see sales volume pick up. We're going to get people thinking, oh, I didn't want to buy it in the $800. But right now it's going for low 700s, and they'll pick some up. And that should, depending on how many people do this, that should slow the pace of the price decrease. We'll just have to see really how many people are waiting to do that. I want to take a look at the play boxes. Now, the play boxes are doing really well comparatively. They haven't dropped In fact, about 2 or 3 days ago, the play boxes were around 184. So it's still in the 190s right now, 191.48. Let's take a look at the Edge of Eternity's play booster box sales data from prior to its release. Now, Edge of Eternity is released around August 1st, and in July, the month before release, as you can see here, on a weekly basis, it was selling 740, 501, and 509, and then you have the really big candle of 2,000 boxes, but that is because of the TCG player sale, so we're not going to look at that, as we haven't had the TCG player sale for Spider-Man yet. I do expect one to happen, especially since the sales volume for Spider-Man has been so low. There's likely a lot of supply out there. So if you look at Spider-Man right now, on its best week so far, it's only hit 300 boxes. And the last couple of weeks, it's been at 224, 300, 250. So it's selling at half the pace Edge of Eternity was, or even less than half that, which is not good for Spider-Man. The only thing I can see is that the price of it being $190 a box, that's quite high. So that, again, just like the collector box, is putting a damper on the sales volume, as people don't want to spend that much on 30 booster. And it's not even meant to be drafted in an 8-person format. So you're buying this box just to crack packs or to draft in the pick 2 format. But my sense is that the pick 2 4-player draft format is probably not going to be as fun or as good as the regular 8-person draft format. So I see fewer of this set being drafted in the future, which will result in fewer boxes being sold. So to sum it up, things are not looking good for Spider-Man right now. I think that we are going to see the price of both the play booster and the collector booster drop leading up to release, and perhaps having a really large drop on release when everybody can list on TCG Player. Of course, for the collector box, in the long run, maybe a year or more out, it will come back. And maybe we don't even need a whole year, but it will come back. You just have to be patient. But at least the current sentiment, the current market conditions, the current situation we have right now is that the Spider-Man sealed product prices are likely not going to remain at this price. We are going to see them come down. My guess is that the play boxes will go down to 160, 170s, somewhere in that range, and the collector boxes will be in the high 600s or low 700s at this point, based on what I'm seeing right now. I want to point out this Reddit article, credit to Melodic AD7494 in the mtgfinance Reddit. They posted a graph of TCG player collector box inventory and price data. So here we have the inventory data on TCG Player. The relevant lines we should be looking at is this brown one for EOE, for Edge of Eternities. Spider-Man is the dark green one right here and Final Fantasy is the lime green one. So what this is showing is that Spider-Man currently, if you look at the right side, has very high collector box inventory on TCG Player, higher than Aether Drift. I still believe the floor for Spider-Man is higher than normal. The next graph this person put here is the collector booster box price versus weeks to release. The Spider-Man collector box price, which is this purple one, is very high versus the weeks to release. It has not released yet, but prior to release, this is the highest collector box price. It's higher than, well, not currently, but it had hit higher than Avatar: The Last Airbender. This one, the really high one, is Final Fantasy. So Final Fantasy, we all know it's great. It's an anomaly. Look at what it's done. That's incredible. But Spider-Man started off really high. It's still really high and higher than where Final Fantasy was. So we should be seeing it come down more in line to where Final Fantasy was before release. It's hard to see where that is on this chart, but it looks like somewhere in the low 700s or high 600s. So that is where I think we will be seeing Spider-Man for some time before it goes back up. And finally, this last graph is the cumulative collector box unit sales leading up to release. And you can see where it is -3 at this point where Spider-Man, where we are now, Edge of Eternities has sold more boxes than Spider-Man, and Final Fantasy had sold way, way, way more than any other box at this point. And based on the trajectory of where the sales volume is right now, it's pretty flat. If this continues to hold, we will likely not get to the pace that the other boxes are. You see Tarkir Dragonstorm is the third one. Spider-Man's looking to get to somewhere around 2,000 on release, which will match Bloomborough and Duskmorn, and even being even lower than Foundations. So again, all this to say that the sales data, the sales volume are pretty lackluster for Spider-Man currently, and the price is high, which means that we will be seeing the price coming back down. We need to find this equilibrium point, as with all markets. And once we hit the equilibrium point, we'll see the price stagnate, and it will be there until the supply dries up. I don't think there's much that's going to make the sales volume go up drastically for Spider-Man, because we've already seen all the cards. People already have their opinions on what they want from the set. There are only a few things that would increase the sales volume from here. It would either be the price continues to go down and it gets to a point where it's so low that a lot of people want to buy the product and jump in at that price. We don't know what that price is, but we may get there. And I think it's going to be pretty low in the 600s. And I can see some time down the line, perhaps maybe the next Marvel set comes out and they reveal the next Soulstone, and maybe if the Soulstone price is really expensive, people might try their luck, buy and crack open some Spider-Man packs trying to hit that Cosmic Foil Soulstone or Thanos Soulstone. So those are my two predictions of when Spider-Man volume will increase, and subsequently with the increased volume of sales, the increased demand, then the price will increase. One is in the more near term, but that will require the price to continue going down quite a bit before the volume increases. And the second one will be when the next Marvel set releases. And that might not even spur too much for the Soulstone purchasing. We might need to wait until maybe the last Soulstone is out, but that's many years down the line. All right, everyone, let me know your thoughts on what's going on. It's not looking good for Spider-Man. I hope Wizards of the Coast learns from this, that people don't want smaller sets. They want their Universes Beyond sets to feel more impactful and not just random multiverse Spider-Mans all over the place. Want more cohesion, more story, more continuity in the sets. I think a lot of the feedback that people have been negative about on the set is good feedback that I hope Wizards of the Coast will take into consideration as they create other sets down the line. And maybe we needed something like this to send a message to Wizards of the Coast. I'm not saying don't make any more Universes Beyond, but just do a better job and put more effort and thought into your sets, and don't make smaller sets anymore. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.